Hello friends, this is Kumar and I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel. Friends, in this video we are going to discuss an essay, The Indian Culture and Nation, which has been written by Nirmal Verma. Nirmal Verma was born in 1929 in Shimla. He did his MA in History from St. Stephen's College, Delhi. From 1959 to 1968, he lived in Czechoslovakia where he translated a number of Czech works into Hindi. For a brief while, he was a member of the Communist Party of India but resigned from it in protest against its support for dictatorships. On returning to India, he was a fellow at the Indian Institutes of Advanced Study Shimla. In 1977, he took part in the International Writers Program at the University of Iowa, USA. He has thus far published 4 novels, including Ek Chitra Sukh and Raat Ka Reporter, 8 collections of short stories, including Jalti Jhadi and Kave or Kala Pans, 3 travelogues, 6 collections of essays, and 3 plays. Many of his works have been translated into English, German, and French. He has received many awards for his writings, including the Nirla Award 1981, Sahitya Academy Award 1985, Jashpal Award 1989, and Murti Devi Award 1997. He lives in Delhi. The essay The Indian Culture and Nation is taken from the famous Hindi writer Nirmal Verma's book India and Europe. Selected essays translated by Alok Bhalla and published by the Indian Institutes of Advanced Study, Shimla. Nirmal Verma describes in this essay how the concept of nation state originated in Europe and how it is different from the Indian culture and nation. Nirmal Verma begins by referring to the idea of India as one nation, one state as something that developed in Europe. Now, the words nation and state are sometimes used as synonyms, but nation and state have their own respective identities. So, a nation can be defined as a group of people who are bound together into a single body through history, customs, value system, language, culture, tradition, art, and religion. On the other hand, a state is a geographical unit or territory under one government, which exercises independent sovereignty and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, and is capable of making war and peace and of entering into international relations with other states. At one time, the Jews, for example, could be described as a nation without a state, but after the Second World War, they also acquired a state of their own, so that Israel is now a nation state. Now, the idea of a nation state took birth in Europe as a result of the Renaissance ideology of before the 200 or 300 years ago, which glorified man as an independent, autonomous, and self centered or egoistic. As an autonomous and self centered unit, a man can think of the outside world as a group of particular national entities as different from the people of other states. The states that came into existence in Europe after the Renaissance were copies of the human beings who lived there. Following the ideology of Renaissance humanism, each state became autonomous and independent, though it had the same culture as other European countries. It is a fact that Indian civilization has survived in spite of countless attacks on it over the centuries. The reason is that the sources of information on the early life of India are not outdated but actually lived even in the present. In India, every code has its own imagery and its own language, whether they have come from epics, Puranas, or Vedas. This is different from the way it happened in Europe. There, the ancient Greek civilization is a matter of historical knowledge, but it is not actually lived now. This is also true of the ancient Egyptian civilization. There has been no continuity there also. But India still follows the same rituals and customs, and that is the best part about India. In other words, what has kept India alive is that it does not consider the past as bygone but a kind of representation of contemporary Indian life, which today is as meaningful as it had been at any given time. Of course, many foreign invasions, changes in the power structure of the state, and historical chaos and changes have partially affected the traditional Indian civilization. Nevertheless, India has survived in some form or the other without breaking its link with the past. According to Nirmal Verma in this essay, the phrase civilization in entirely refers to that web, that texture in which all the threads knit the economic patterns of the entire life, and in which the meaning of one is interrelated to the other so much so that one leads to the other. In this kind of a fabric, the interdependence of the meaning of the inner and the outer man's integrated self is interlocked with the countless features of the outside world. Looked at from this perspective, the Indian panorama today is as meaningful, living, and related with Puranic symbol, traditional codes, and myths as the Europe of Middle Ages was for Dante, or the ancient classical Greek period was for Aeschylus and Sophocles. Goethe was the first great writer who tried to save the perfection of man in Europe. But with the Renaissance came the rejection of the wholeness of the European man. There came the destructive division between the state and the church, and the worldly and the spiritual. Earlier, both of them were an interlinked part of man's life. But the division between the two brought about the division between science and philosophy, between God and man, and between religion and politics. As a result, the bridges that joined the secular and the spiritual lives were destroyed one after the other. The British came to India more than 200 years ago as colonizers. As representatives of European culture, they saw themselves as superior and distinguished between developed and backward societies. So they tried to they liberate India from what they considered its superstitions and barbarous customs. They wanted to change Indians into modern Western men, but the Indian culture was so deep rooted in the minds of the people that the British could not entirely destroy it. They wanted to change Indians into modern Western men, but the Indian culture was so deep rooted in the minds of the people that the British could not entirely destroy it. Nevertheless, even if an Indian did not accept the European modes of understanding and spirit, he did begin to suspect his own way of understanding life. In other words, the European consciousness was imposed on the inherent Indian consciousness. The mixing of the two led to the emergence of a pseudo consciousness. In the 19th century, the intellectuals of Bengal became the victims of this double or pseudo consciousness. It is paradoxical that after independence, the ruling elite, with its Western outlook, is trying to impose itself on the entire society. In short, what the British could not succeed in doing, the modern westernized elite is trying to do, and that too when the country is independent. So that is out of the question. That is not possible in the present scenario. If we go further, during the Indian struggle for independence in the 20th century, the ideas about the future of India after independence began to move in two conflicting streams. One was the Western educated elite whose consciousness was influenced by the Western model. On the other hand, there were communal organizations which wanted to follow the Indian traditions, Hindu or Muslim, whatever is is suitable. Separately, of course, not the together. They don't want to together, as mixed as they were earlier. Now, before the British rule, these two streams had acquired significance by embracing each other. But during the British rule, they started moving apart. While Jawaharlal Nehru represented the Western model, the other stream was led by Swarkar and Jinnah, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, of course, who represented the traditional bound Hindu and Muslim models, respectively. Now, the result of this division led to the partition of the country simultaneously with independence. The Jinnah led ideology led to the creation of Pakistan, while the Nehru led secular European model made India a secular country. But in any case, the division of the country was no less than the bifurcation of the Indian soul, from which we have still not recovered. It is fortunate that in spite of the creation of Pakistan on the basis of religion, India did not establish a state on a similar basis. This is because the concept of Hindu religion itself was nationalistic rather than communal. Though the partition took place in India, but the guru or the Bapu of India, Mahatma Gandhi, was totally opposed to the division of the country on the basis of religion. He had said that any division of the country would take place only on his dead body. The reason is that he believed in the wholeness of India's culture and wanted to preserve it. For him, India was not merely a geographical unit. Instead, it was something pure and eternal. If he believed in the geographical unity of the country, it was not due to any blind patriotism, though no one could ever question the patriotism, but it was because of his conviction that the lively elements of any place can remain strong in such a piece of land where trees and mountains, rivers, and the vast expanse of land have woven our cultural heritage for ages. Mahatma Gandhi knew that the land of any country is a home for a particular civilization. If some rooms or portion of the house collapse, the memories associated with the ancestors are also destroyed. This is why Gandhiji was against the division of the country into two geographical units. He knew that the natural environment of India cannot be separated from the Indian civilization. It is now that the Europe is beginning to understand the importance of ecology. In India, however, it was always a part of culture. So friends, here our present essay, The Indian Culture and Nation, essay by Nirmal Verma, finally ends. I hope you understand the concept, and if you understand the concept, then please like, share and comment on the video, and please subscribe the channel for further such updates. Thank you very much for watching the video and have a great day.